We're on. We're good. We're started. Yeah, awesome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, I guess, wherever you are, whenever you're watching this. It's morning now, or where I am. Thanks for joining us for the latest SilviaFindings live stream presentation, video catalog thing that we do every week, every Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, and extrapolate it out to wherever you are. Yeah, we're going to continue today with rings. I know last week I tried to do all of the rings with round settings, and I ended up going way over time, way longer than, we like to keep these under an hour. So this week I'm just going to start, and I'm just going to go, and I've got a stopwatch going, and I'm going to stop when we get to, 58 minutes or whatever, because normally I need a couple minutes to do the post-show blah 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 things stuff. So but before I get going, let me just explain it again. I'm sure you know why you're here. Otherwise, why did you click on this video? Why are you watching this? Hello. My name is Mark. I work at SilviaFindings, which is Canada's premier finding supplier. Normally we do shows. If you've seen us, somewhere, we do shows all across Western Canada and into Ontario. And, we're trying to do more of these kind of lapidary shows everywhere. But clearly this past year has been disastrous for shows. There just haven't been any. They just, shut them all down. Except for that one in Calgary, which I'm going to keep, ragging on Calgary for doing that show, because that was just craziness right in the middle of a pandemic. But don't get me started. It was a fun show. We saw lots of people. I didn't go because I'm not insane. But we went, Nelson and Marble went, and they had a great time, and they saw its people, and it was great. And we really miss those shows. I know I do. I love doing the shows. I love seeing people. I love, sending people stones and sending them away. They're so happy. Just finding a solution for what people can do with their stones, which is kind of the point of these live stream presentations. We want to keep providing that service, keep that connection with you people, and offer you some solutions for what to do with your stones that you've got hidden away in your drawers or whatever. Or if you're a lapidary, you're cutting them on yourself. It's good to have a source for that kind of thing. And really, I've been in the jewelry business for going on 30 years, bench jeweler, used to teach jewelry fabrication for years and years. I owned a jewelry school in the States. And really, I don't think there's another company that has the selection of findings, settings, rings, pendants, bales, those kind of things that we have. There just isn't one. And custom, I remember the years doing custom jewelry and how much of a nightmare it is for the jeweler and for the customer. We make a drawing, we try to work out something, if it's going to be a casting. I suck at carving. I'm just terrible at carving, so the wax carvings are never very good. If it's just straight up fabrication, I'm really good at that, but the end result may not be exactly what the person had in their mind. And then there's this, well, I've already spent 30 hours working on this thing. It is what it is. The way we do custom stuff here is pretty much foolproof, and there's nobody who's doing it as inexpensively as we are. And I keep telling Marble we need to raise the price on that. But anyway, neither here nor there. We do everything through CAD. All of the findings that we make, all the rings that we make, all the pendants that we make are all computer designed first. And then once those designs are approved, then we 3D print the prototype on a super high resolution 3D printer, which was a lot of talk about printers in the office these days, because we're going to get one here to show prototypes to people. Or at least that's the plan, you know, we're talking about it. And then from there, you know, with the castable resin, it was just a resin mixed with a certain percentage of wax. You know, we can 3D print your one prototype and then cast it, you know, directly one off, you know, and along with our normal production schedule, you know, it's super inexpensive to do it. And there's no reason why you can't have super high quality jewelry custom made at a reasonable price. You know, a jeweler is going to charge you $60 an hour for their time carving, you know, the 3D wax, you know, model. If they're doing it that way, you know, and even in the end, you know, well, if you want to make some changes, it's a real pain for them to do it. You know, for us, not so much. We have, you know, designers who work in CAD that can, you know, tweak things pretty easily before, you know, you're committed to a precious metal object. But anyway, so custom, boy, we're just getting tons more custom orders as people are becoming more exposed to the service, and it's really taking off, and I love it. It's a really, really great part of the business. You know, because we have lots of really great, super gorgeous pendants and rings and findings, bales, whatever. But the production version that we have might be for a size of a stone that you don't have, or you have a, you know, oh my God, I love this pendant, but, you know, it's for a 10 by 12 oval, and I've got a, you know, a 6 by 8 baguette, you know. I think, yeah, we can remake it, you know, we can, you know, do it pretty easily. And you're never going to get it for $65, which is the minimum price. The price for everything up to 5 grams, which I think is probably 80% of our pendants are under 5 grams, you know. So anyway, neither here nor there. So that's my little spiel this week about custom. I know I went a little bit over the top with it, but that's how I am. If you, I see, according to what I'm seeing on the screen here on this phone, it says there's only one person watching this probably. Is that you, Nelson? That's you. So, hi, Nelson. So, hey, Nelson, if you share this video, we'll send you, I guess I'll just hand it to you, one of these little polishing cloths. Also, if you're watching this after the fact, and you can still go, Andrea, hi, Andrea, it's you. So if you order, again, during the live stream, you get your 10% discount off the regular prices. If you have any questions about anything, Andrea, you know, let me know. You got me here, so live, and there's nobody else watching, so it's just me and you right now. Just if you are watching after the fact and you want to hear a spiel about shipping, about postage, I'm not going to do it this week because it's actually getting good. It's actually going good. I had a package that we shipped to around Montreal, so literally the other side of the country, on the other side of Ontario, which to me is you know, may as well be in another country, even though that's where I was born. We shipped them on, and it only took 10 days, which I know you're thinking, wait, what, 10 days? What kind of third world country are we living in? But no, this is actually really good. Before Christmas, and even a little bit after Christmas, you know, 3 weeks was not unheard of, you know, for shipping. So Canada Post is finally getting caught up. And really everywhere in the world is actually getting good. We just had one, somebody, the package, we'll just say, we sent a shipment to Germany and it only took 16 days. That's regular post, not through, you know, DHL or anything like that. Just regular post, 16 days. which is quicker than it would take us to send something from here to, say, Nova Scotia. So Europe is good. We have some, yeah. Anyway, Europe is good. We sent something to Australia that also didn't take very long. So I think the world is beginning to catch up, or the infrastructure is beginning to equalize itself with the state of the pandemic and everything, and hopefully, by the end of this year, everything will be really back to normal, to pre-pandemic things. Which, boy, if you'd have told me 2 years ago that next year there's going to be an event that's going to mess up the world for 2 years straight, I would have said, yeah, okay, probably. And here we are. So, but I tend to be kind of a doom and gloom kind of guy anyway, neither here nor there. What else? I guess that's it. I feel like there was something else I wanted to let you in on, but I'll figure it out. Okay, moving on with the rings. Again, last week we did we started the rings, and we did rings that were only round, and now I think we finished all the rounds, and we're moving on to ovals. And I'm just going to, so I'm not going to do it in any specific order. So we'll be doing mostly ovals, but if we run into a pear shape or something, don't freak out and say, hey, Mark, you said we were doing ovals. I don't see any pears or anything like that in the tray that I'm working on, but anyway, let's move right on. Let's turn this around. And okay, our first item, MTR 497 with a retail price of $26.49 and a wholesale price of $16.55. This is for a 12 by 14 millimeter oval. It's just got that lovely kind of, I don't know, scroll thing. It feels like a ram's head to me, but ram horns, but just cute. Very cute little, spirally thing with the cubic zirconias inside. It's not a super deep basket, so if you have a cut stone with a really deep pavilion, you might end up in the finger space, which is a little bit uncomfortable, so I guess you just have to tell. These are not super tall prongs, so it's definitely designed for a cut stone, although you could definitely put a cabochon in there if you like. I quite like that. My next item, MTR 451 with a retail price of $18.37 and a wholesale price of $11.48. This is for an 8 by 10 millimeter stone. Here's another, it's kind of a flourish, split shank, not really a split shank, but kind of a flourishes on the outside of the border with those cubic zirconias in the top and the bottom. I love these kind of mirror image things, how it's, one on one side and one on the other side, and they're symmetrical but not symmetrical, if that makes sense. This has got, nice super tall prongs, so if you got a big cabochon, definitely will fit in there. You could put a cut stone in there, although again, I don't even know if I should mention this. I just saw a review from somebody who said they just loved this pendant. It turned their dream stone into a beautiful work of art, and the prongs on this particular pendant were way longer than you needed for the cab that she put in there, and the prongs extended fully all the way into the center of the stone, and it's like, oh my gosh, you really need to trim those down. But she loved it, so who am I to say she's wrong? Maybe she liked that look of that, the extra prong in there. And again, yes, I keep promising I am going to have a video on how to dress the prongs on these things sooner or later. MTR 469 with a retail price of $18.98 and a wholesale price of $11.87. This is for an 8 by 12 millimeter oval. This kind of a split shank with some, I don't know, kind of floral, I guess, leafy flora and fauna sort of design. A very simple basket with some good sized prongs. Not a super deep basket again, so you just might want to be careful if you've got a cut stone with a really super deep pavilion. Might you don't want the cula to extend into the finger space here and scratch you when you put your finger through. That makes you really cranky. But again, good sized prongs, so definitely a cab will fit in there. This is one of those hybrid seats, right? It's carved at an angle, right? So it's beveled in, right? So seats beautifully for a cut stone or a cab, which personally I'm a big fan of those because they're really versatile. And they're not difficult to set either. MTR $498 with a retail price of $21.69 and a wholesale price of $13.57. This is for a 7x9 millimeter cab or cut stone. It's got a nice deep basket, so you can definitely put just about any cut stone in there, unless it's a ridiculously big pavilion, which is pretty rare. Again, this is that hybrid seat again. The prongs are not super tall, so you could probably get a cab as long as it's a low dome cab. And I just love this kind of these U shapes. So if you look at it from the front, you see these U shapes, but they're bars that are kind of pulled all the way around down onto the bottom of the frame. Alternately set, or the cardinal points are set with cubic zirconias, and the in-between ones are nice and smooth. Very cute, very gorgeous ring. Here's a ring that this looks like one of the things that I would have done as a lesson in one of my workshops. MTR 441 with a retail price of $22.09 and a wholesale price of $13.81 for 8x10 millimeter oval. Right, I just love this with all the graduated sizes of little circles, right? And the seat. And as a class, I would have done this as a, how to create this thing, the centerpiece with little jump rings, right? Solder them all together, solder a seat inside and the frame on the outside, hammer them, dome it, then build a background. Yeah, would have been a nice long class, an all-day class. But this is just great. This is a beautiful ring. Nice big wide seat, or I guess the I don't know what you call that, the beauty part of the ring. I don't know the names, I just make the stuff. Good sized prongs, so will fit a cabochon or a cut stone, right? It's good sized basket, but not super deep. Again, you just have to be careful that you don't have a super tall pavilion, which I've seen a lot of these days. It's kind of a pain. Here we have MTR 024 with a retail price of $14.77 and a wholesale price of $10.33. This is for a 6x8 millimeter oval round cabochon or a cut stone. It's got a nice deep basket, so a cut stone definitely would work in there. The prongs are not super tall, so they're tall enough. If you consider the size of the stone that would go in here, it would have to be a really thick cab for these prongs not to hit inside the perimeter of the cab, which is what you want. Sometimes you get ones that the outside of the cabochon is really flat and it's only domed at the very top. Those are so annoying to jewelers. So if you're a lapidary and you're watching this, dude, try to taper your cabs so there's a little bit of taper all the way to the outside edge of the cab, so it's not flat on the sides. Unless you're going to set them yourself and you have your own trick and thing, then I don't care. But if you're going to be selling them to people who are needing to set them in the rings, or even just all the years I did jewelry fabrication, it's just so much easier if your cabs are domed, curved all the way down to the outside edge, right? If that makes sense. I think it does. MTR, where am I? here, MTR 462 with a retail price of $25.96 and a wholesale price of $16.23. This one is for an 8x10 millimeter cabochon or cut stone. Look at those gorgeous prongs there. So golly, I can't imagine any cabochon not fitting in there. This is got that hybrid seat though, right? So it's beveled seat, so a cut stone would also fit in there beautifully. Again, if it's really shallow cut stone, you might need to cut these prongs down a little bit and dress them, make the edges beautiful. You know, you don't have to go with the length of prongs that are on here. In fact, when we get to the men's rings, I'll show you, and boy, I'm gonna have to do that video before we get to the men's rings, because almost all of the men's rings, I would say 90% of the men's rings, the prongs are, you know, are specifically made longer than you would ever need them to be, and you know, you got to cut them down. I have been at shows where people have bought the men's rings and wanted me to set them right there, and I do it, but then I go home and have nightmares because I think about those giant prongs that are sitting over on the stones. MTR 445 with a retail price of $22.44 and a wholesale price of $14.01. This is for an 8x10 millimeter cabochon. I don't think that bezel wall is, well, it's maybe thin enough to, if you can work a cut stone in there and push that bezel wall down on there. Again, if you're going to do that kind of thing with a bezel wall that's already created like this, or even if you make your own, when you start, you know, folding the bezel wall over onto the stone, if you're going to do it with a cab and you're not going to glue it in there, which is probably not necessary, although if you wanted to, that would be fine. But if you wanted to push this thing, you always start from the sharpest corner and work your way out to the smoother angle, right? So you would start from here, and then you would, you know, work your way down this way, and then, you know, flip the ring around, work your way down this way, and then out that way, and then come back, and then work your way out this way. You don't want to start from here and then push your way out here, because if you end up with any extra material, when you get out to the sharp corners, it's going to start to kink, right? The silver is really stretchy, really bendy, really, you can really stretch it in amazing ways, but you will reach a point, and it's maybe not so bad on a ring like this, but you know, better safe than sorry. Oh, I said sorry like a Canadian. I'm finally home. So starting from this, you know, from the tip here and work your way out, you know, to the shallower angles. That's the way you would do it. I love this big wide frame with these flourish, almost rococo kind of elements. Those are more just flourishes with the it looks like a twisty wire sort of border. That's a gorgeous ring. I love that. Anyway, spent too long talking about it, but I don't know, I think the setting tips are helpful, right? I feel like they are. Any information is always good. MTR 514 with a retail price of $19.02 and a wholesale price of $11.89. This is for a 13x15 millimeter oval, and I just love this kind of bamboo split shank, you know, effect here, right? See the bamboo leaves and the bamboo frame coming up on the sides to hold that, kind of a standard basket, right? Very simple, very elegant. It's got that hybrid seat, so cabochons or cut stones, anything will work in here. Good size prongs, so even if it is a, you know, a super thick cab, you can definitely still fit it in here. The bottom of the basket is not super deep, so again, if you have a cut stone with a really deep pavilion, you might want to be careful that the culet doesn't extend into the finger space and make you cranky when you put it on. But I think that's an issue for almost every basket setting. MTR 014 with a retail price of $18.27 and a wholesale price of $11.42. This one is for a 6x8 millimeter oval. cabochon, you can see the seat is flat there, so this is designed for a cabochon, although it's got a pretty good sized basket there, so you could definitely put a cut stone in there too. I guess you would just have to be careful. It's kind of when the seat like this is flat, it's obviously designed for a cabochon. When we have those hybrid seats with the bevel inside, it's easier to set cut stones because the stone sits in the bevel a little bit easier, or against that beveled edge, the inside of the seat. With this, you can still do it, and I've done lots of them. You just have to be careful to tack the prongs in until the stone isn't moving anymore, because if you just push one side and try to push one side over, there's not a lot of material that's holding the stone in place, so it shifts very easily, and that's kind of a pain when you're setting these. So just be careful. A little bit, do a little bit on one prong, a little bit on the next prong. I always go kind of opposite corners. I'll do a little bit on this prong, then a little bit on that prong, then a little bit on this prong, back and forth, back and forth. Just keep doing that, keeping the stone level until the prongs are tight up against the stone and the stone isn't moving, and then you could start pushing the prongs over onto the girdle of the stone. Again, if it's a cabochon, don't have to worry about it at all. It'll sit down beautifully in there and not move at all. This is a lovely little split shank sort of branchy things with some cubic zirconias in the top. And I think most of these are, I should make a list of what sizes these are available in. I'm sorry, I'll remember that for next week. Could be important. MTR 518 with a retail price of $16.44 and a wholesale price of $10.27. This is for, it says 8x9, but I bet you could put an 8x10 in there. I guess it would just depend on the curvature. It's kind of a lovely sort of a split shank, although the shank doesn't split the way something normally does. There's a kind of a lovely little swirly element, from both sides, again, kind of mirror imaged, that interrupt the band. The seat, the basket is pretty standard seat. This has got that hybrid seat again with that lovely beveled edge on the inside of that, which so you could put a cabochon in there. A cut stone would fit beautiful. Again, be careful if you put a cut stone in there. The basket, the seat is not super deep, so if you've got a really, really deep pavilion, you might be careful that the culet doesn't extend into the finger space. Again, I said that a couple times today. Makes a difference. MTR 152 with a retail price of $25.20 and a wholesale price of $17.59. This is for a 10x12 millimeter oval, a nice deep basket, so cut stones work beautifully in here. You know what? And this is so weird. I bet when I've done shows, and we obviously we do free stone setting at shows. I've set more cabs in this ring than I have set cut stones in there, even though it's clearly designed for a cut stone. But cabs do fit in here, do work in here. As long as they're not super thick and they've got a nice taper all the way to the outside perimeter of the edge. The prongs are not super short, but they're clearly pre-notched and designed for cut stones. But this is just a very cool, nice, big, tall basket. So it sits, nice and high on your finger. Yeah, I think that's lovely for cut stones or cabs. This one, MTR 444 with a retail price of $15.48 and a wholesale price of $9.68. This is for 5x6 millimeter oval, ish. The thing I love best about this is kind of the segmented, band that looks, I don't know, almost like bamboo segments or, thing. Very simple basket setting up at the top, right? Again, it's got that hybrid seat for the cabochons or cut stones. Anything will fit in there. The good medium-sized prongs, not super tall, so you probably don't have to cut them down, no matter how thin your cab is. or if it's a cut stone, depending on how tall your girdle is. MTR 531 with a retail price of $22.63 and a wholesale price of $14.13. This is for 11 by 13 millimeter stones. I just love this band with that kind of what is that? I want to say laurel leaves, the kind of laurels with the cubic zirconias in the side and that kind of, you know, cut out chevrons in the side. You know, nice standard, you know, basket, very simple basket. Again, with the hybrid seat for cabs or cut stones. You know, the prongs they look like, because they're rounded on the outside, flat on the inside, and there's no notches. The prongs are designed for cabochons, although I have used these kind of prongs on cut stones all the time. And depending on the size of your pavilion and the angle of your girdle, you may need to cut these down a little bit. You know, if it's a cab, you could just, you know, push those up on the cab and you're done. But for cut stones, you know, ideally, you know, I think I can go over the technical parts in another video when I talk about the, you know, dressing the prongs if you need to cut them down. MTR 458 with a retail price of $21.49 and a wholesale price of $13.43. This is for a 10 by 12 millimeter oval cabochon or cut stone. It's got a nice deep basket, right? So cut stones are great in here. It's got the hybrid seat though, so cabs. The prongs are not super tall though, so if it's a really, really thick cab, you know, you may not be able to get the prongs to hit inside the perimeter of the stone to set the stone in there properly. Got these little lovely spears or teardrops, I guess, set with cubic zirconias in the ends of the band. Just lovely designed ring, just very cute. Again, you know, any of these things that you see, if there's a ring that you just love and you have a stone and the stone that you have doesn't fit, you know, we can very easily recreate a ring in any dimensions that you want, you know, and it's super, super, I hate using the word inexpensive because that kind of denotes cheap, but you know, they're not cheap. They're super, you know, super good quality. But it doesn't need to be really expensive. MTR 547 with a retail price of $28.40 and a wholesale price of $17.75. This is for a 7 by 9 millimeter oval cabochon or cut stone. The seat is flat, so it's designed for a cab, right? Good sized prongs. So cabs are designed, it's what it's designed for. I would put a cut stone in here. I wouldn't even, you know, think twice about putting a cut stone in there. It'd be awesome. I love the split shank that kind of double back onto themselves and curl around, you know, set with cubic zirconias all the way through it, right? Very lovely ring. Here's this is a classic. This is one, I know we sell so many of these just because it's very simple, very small, very elegant. MTR 420 with a retail price of $11.38 and a wholesale price of $7.59. This is for a 5 by 7 millimeter oval cabochon or cut stone. Again, very simple band, right? It comes up to a leaf that alternates, mirror image on both sides. Very simple basket, just classic, elegant. Cabochon, a cut stone, any stone you got 5 by 7 that'll fit in there will look gorgeous in it, right? Super, super simple, really gorgeous. And golly, we just, I don't know, maybe it's because we don't have many 5 by 7s, but we do sell a lot of that one. MTR 544 with a retail price of $19.55 and a wholesale price of $12.22. This is for a 6 by 7 millimeter oval. I guess depending on the taper on the edges, you can probably get away with it. You might be able to get away with the 6 by 8. I don't want to say for sure, but This is just a simple band that gets nice and wide with the cubic zirconias, set right up against the basket. Just lovely, solid ring. Not super big, not super tall. The prongs pre-notched for a cut stone, right? It's got a nice deep basket, so golly, I can't imagine there's a pavilion deep enough to mess with that stone. Although you could probably set a cab in there too. It's pretty rare that there's a ring that you can only put a cab or a cut stone and not both in. MTR 434B with a retail price of $15.82 and a wholesale price of $10.17. This is for a 8x10 millimeter round or oval cabochon or cut stone. This got the hybrid seat, right, with the bevel on the inside, so your cut stones will sit nicely in there as you're setting them. Cabs will also work in there. The prongs are not super tall, so you won't have to worry about cutting them down or anything. And they'll work for either. And this is just a lovely, elegant, swirls. Again, kind of a mirror image on one side and the other, right? Super interesting, super gorgeous. I love that kind of swirly flourishes look. MTR 434 with a retail price of $15.82 and a wholesale price of $10.17. This is for an 8x9 millimeter oval cabochon or cut stone. Either will work in here. Good size basket, so it would have to be a really, really crazy pavilion to enter the finger space. Don't have to worry about that. Again, kind of a similar spiritual successor to this one we were just looking at before. It's like almost like the baby version of the other one. The other one is all grown up. Yeah, lovely. Our next item is MTR 546 with a retail price of $23.73 and a wholesale price of $14.84. This is for a 7x9 millimeter oval. Golly, I don't know what to say about this. It's just lovely, scrolly designs, patterns with cubic zirconia in the ones closest to the basket, right? Lovely kind of a scrolly mirror image in the top going around a simple basket, right? Although there's anything but simple about that ring. I just love that, how that's pierced, right? Scroll work. Anyway, cabochon will work in here. Cut stones are probably what would work best in here, given the prongs are pre-notched and you've got that lovely beveled seat. So, what either will work. MTR, 439. And I'm just realizing that most of these are all new ones too. Or new within the past, year. MTR 439 with a retail price of $19.66 and a wholesale price of $12.29. This is for a 7x9 millimeter oval cab or cut stone, I think is what would work best in here, but you could definitely put a cab in there. Lovely, cute little teardrops, maybe butterfly wings. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Whatever that evokes it to you. Again, kind of a simple band with cubic zirconias up at the top, right? Set in there, that lovely sort of flowery butterfly, maybe, arrangement. Here's MTR, 315 with a retail price of $22.71 and a wholesale price of $15.15. This is for 8x10 millimeter oval, kind of a decorative split shank, not really a true split shank ring. Again, but it's a mirror image, right? So looks opposite sides. Very gorgeous, very, very elegant. Love the cubic zirconias up against the band, against the very simple basket. Golly, this is a hybrid seat, so cabochons or cut stones, anything will fit in there. The prongs are, you know, good size, so very versatile. Sorry, I'm trying not to make a mess here as I'm putting stuff away and pulling up new things. MTR 453 with a retail price of $17.44 and a wholesale price of $10.91. This is for a 6x8 millimeter oval cabochon or cut stone. We've got these lovely scrolly flourish effects, right, up against the band. All the way up to the basket, which is just, again, nice, simple basket with the hybrid seats. So cabochons, cut stones, anything you want to put in there will work. The basket is good, you know, medium-sized, so all but the very deepest, you know, if you got a really super deep pavilion, it might be an issue, but, you know, probably not. MTR 447 with a retail price of $17.24 and a wholesale price of $10.77. This is for a 7x9 millimeter oval cabochon or cut stone. I think it's designed for a cab, given the prongs, although it's one of those hybrid seats with the beveled inside edge, so your cut stones will fit in there and sit in there gorgeously as you set them. Split shank with the kind of a heart motif right on the inside. Very cute, very elegant. Actually, probably not super elegant. It's just a word I like throwing around. Very elegant. MTR 548 with a retail price of $18.14 and a wholesale price of $11.34. This is for a 6x7 millimeter oval, and I just love this mirror image swoopy effect, right? How it comes down to one side and in the other holds the other side, and these little cubic zirconias acting. You know, this cubic zirconias in here, they look decorative, but really it's probably the most stabilizing thing about the ring is that seat. This has got a flat seat, so ideally it's ostensibly designed for a cabochon, but the prongs are not super tall, so you could probably, depending on the edge geometry of your cut stone, you could definitely put a cut stone in there. Yeah, we're getting there. Our next item, MTR 121 with a retail price of $22.46 and a wholesale price of $14.04. This is for a 6x10 millimeter oval with that lovely beveled seat, hybrid seat for a cut stone. Although definitely you could put a cabochon in there. Just love those Rococo elements with the cubic zirconia on the top and the bottom. That is a classic. MTR 530 with a retail price of $26.06 and a wholesale price of $16.28. This is for a 7x9 millimeter oval cabochon or cut stone. And this, okay, so this one definitely is elegant. I know I'm overusing that word, but this one, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just lovely, kind of, not really Victorian, you know, but there's just some lovely flourish work with the cubic zirconias all the way, you know, kind of cubic zirconia bouquets on the sides. And around the top and the bottom. There's some lovely alternating smooth and set with stones in that setting. You know, it's not super big, you know, of a setting given how busy it is. But I think it's gorgeous. And from busy to as plain as you can get. MTR 492 with a retail price of $17.36 and a wholesale price of $10.85. This is for a 7x9mm oval cabochon or cut stone. Just a classic split shank. This ring, I think we sell so many of these to people who do commemorative jewelry, you know, or memorial jewelry. You know, they make their own, they cast their own cabochons with epoxy resin, and they mix in whatever the dehydrated breast milk, or, you know, bits of your pet's hair or grandma's ashes or whatever. The whole business model just seems really wacky to me, but I love it. I love it. Anyway, we sell a ton of these to those people because they're just so versatile. And I guess there's a 7x9 mold out there that everybody's using. Although I think almost more than this, the only other more popular one is an 8x10, which I don't think is in the tray that I'm doing today, but when we get there, I'll show you. Which wouldn't really matter because we're out right now, because everybody who does this commemorative jewelry bought those. That's one niche of this jewelry business that I just find amazing. MTR 414 with a retail price of $10.45 and a wholesale price of $6.97. This is for a 5x7mm cabochon or cut stone. Either will work. Very simple. I love mirror image. It's just very cool to me. I don't know. It's symmetrical but not symmetrical, right? This it's got a couple of interesting components. You know, at the top and the bottom. It almost looks like there's cubic zirconias in there, but there are not. There's no stones in here. That's just the edges of the components that give it that look. You know, very simple, but cool. Here we have MTR 479 with a retail price of $15.04 and a wholesale price of $9.40. This is for a 4x6mm oval cabochon or cut stone. And this is right up my alley. I just love that. Anything with these kind of crazy Rococo elements, all the way around the border with some cubic zirconias in the north and the south position only at the top and the bottom. Very cute, very, I don't know. It's sweet. I don't know how else to call it. I love it. Very, very cute. MTR 416 with a retail price of $11.80 and a wholesale price of $7.86. This is for a 6x7mm oval. And again, kind of a split shank, but inside the split shank there's that cool little element, right? Which is kind of a teardrop with curved edges around the outside. I don't know. I've seen that quite a few places, so I don't know if that's a thing or if that's just one of the elements that one of our designers has in their system, and she just likes using it all the time. Again, this got that hybrid seat, so a cut stone or a cab, either will work in here. The basket is, pretty good size, so, depending, only if you got a super, super tall pavilion would I worry about it. Otherwise, man, just set your stone. Can't go wrong. MTR 500 with a retail price of $15.89 and a wholesale price of $9.94. This is for a 6x8mm oval cabochon or cut stone. Again, here's that almost exactly the same element as the previous ring, right? Up against the thing, except that instead of just having a little teardrop element or something, there's a cute little cubic zirconia in there. It's so cute on the sides. Right. Again, perfect for a cabochon or a cut stone. I think it's designed for a cut stone, but I don't know. Actually, it's one of those hybrids, so it's designed for either. This is definitely one of those things where you could put any stone you want in there. Well, as long as the dimensions are right? as long as it's a 6x8. And even then, MTR 119 with a retail price of $14.77 and a wholesale price of $9.23. Another 4x6 millimeter oval. This got that flat seat, so it's, I guess, ostensibly designed for a cabochon. Although the prongs are pre-notched, so definitely a cut stone fits in there beautifully. Also, I love the cute little, flowery elements, right? So it's a split shank, but, they kind of branches. Yeah. We're doing good. We're doing good. We're almost halfway through this thing. And I'm only 50 minutes in. So I think this is good. We're doing, if we do half a tray every episode, MTR 537 with a retail price of $19.98 and a wholesale price of $12.49. This is for a 6x7 millimeter oval cabochon or cut stone. Yeah, it's got a pretty decent sized basket, so all but the most ridiculously cut pavilions will fit in there beautifully. And yeah, I said ridiculous because some of those pavilions I've seen from you lapidaries lately have just been ridiculous. And I get the concept, you want the stone to be a little bit darker color, but come on. We still have to set that in something. Anyway, so this is a split shank ring with trios of cubic zirconias on either side. Right? Very simple, very I almost said elegant again. I'm going to try not to say that every time. But it's very cute. That's my new go-to. It's cute. MTR 516 with a retail price of $15.31 and a wholesale price of $9.57. This is for a 6x8 millimeter oval again. Kind of almost a traditional split shank with some cubic zirconia elements in there. I love that kind of I don't know, that. Yeah, it just looks good. I'm at a loss for words. It's so gorgeous. It took my breath away. The seat is a hybrid for a cabochon or a cut stone. The prongs are not super tall, so just about anything will work beautifully in there without having to worry about trimming down the prongs. I'm not going to do that one next because I'm going to save that for last because it's so cool. MTR 450 with a retail price of $16.90 and a wholesale price of $10.57. This is for a 6x8 millimeter cabochon or cut stone. And this, I don't know how you can see this and not see a butterfly, but to me that's what it is. Two little dots of cubic zirconias and these two little wings or leaves or whatever with more cubic zirconias in there. I see a butterfly. I don't know. It's got a hybrid seat with a pretty tall basket, so anything will fit in there. Cabochon or a cut stone, you name it. You could just put that right in there. And again, don't be put off by the fact that these are designed for only one size stone, because if you have a stone that you really want to put in there, we can make it for you. MTR 459 with a retail price of $23.19 and a wholesale price of $14.50. This is for a 4x6 millimeter oval cabochon or cut stone. It's got a nice deep basket, so cut stones work in there beautifully. This has got that puma head, the jaguar head with the emerald. Those are not actual emeralds; they're faux emeralds, cubic zirconias. In the eyeballs, right? And the pave style head all the way around. It's separate. The nice thing about this is that even if you get it in the size, because these are sized, and I think this we've got from size, we've got sizes 6, 7, 8, and 9, if I remember off the top of my head, of this thing. Yeah, I think that's right. There might be more, but at least that. But if you're like a half size, sort of thing, there's a little bit of play because it's not You know, they're not soldered. It's not joined at the thing, so you can get away with a little bit of, you know, shrinking or not. You know, I wouldn't go much more than a half size in either direction if you're trying to, you know, make it bigger or smaller. But it's a little, you know, kind of versatile that way, which is neat. MTR 532 with a retail price of $23.50 and a wholesale price of $14.69. This is for a 7x9mm oval cabochon or cut stone. I think the basket is deep enough for just about any cut stone you could put in there. It's got that lovely beveled seat, so your cut stones sit in there beautifully as you're setting them. Lovely, you know, curly cues. I don't know, elements on the sides with the rows of cubic zirconias. It's cute. I've got to say it. It's just elegant, right? I just love that. And because, oh, I did say we might have a different shape than our oval. Here's a pair. And it's the penultimate ring that we're going to do today. I'm going to show you today. MTR 540 with a retail price of $17.77 and a wholesale price of $11.11. This is for a 5x7mm pear-shaped stone, and you can set it that way or that way. I guess you could, when you put it on your finger, you can do it anyway you like. I love this just band with the split shank and then this millgrain effect all the way up. You know, it's not quite granulation, and it's not really millgrain, but it's, you know, sort of, we'll call it faux millgrain, right? And this just very simple basket setting for the pear oval, for a pear cabochon or cut stone. The single, I know it looks like a double prong at the top, but it's a single prong with a nice deep notch cut on the inside of it for the point of your pear-shaped stone. Again, for when you have a single prong like that in the top, cut stones are better than cabs as far as stability goes, because not only are you held on 3 points so the stone can't really move in this direction or that direction, the seat also itself acts as a stabilizing factor, as opposed to a cabochon that sits flat on the top. If it shifts from the top, and if the very point of the pear isn't super pointy, it could slip out, you know, so it's just a little bit less secure. So having said that, I would suggest only using cut stones in here with pointy tops. You know, you could put a cab in there as long as the tip of the cab is super pointy and you can, you know, hold it in that notch. Then it'd be pretty secure. Anyway, just love that ring. And the last ring I'm going to show you, and I actually put a stone in there just because I think it looks cool. MTR 526 with a retail price of $44.52 and a wholesale price of $27.82. This is for a 4x6mm stone. I put that in there crooked. Oh well. Right. So again, this is another one of those things where it's not quite, I don't know if you can see that, you can shift it a little bit, you know, so if you're a half size off the size, it'll still work for when you're setting it. So this is just a lovely ram's head with the pave style all the way around his head, and the big CZ eyeballs, right? Just love that ring. It's very cool, very super interesting. You know, definitely one for all you Zodiac fans or Baphomet fans or whatever. And yeah, God, now that I see this on camera, it's just, I put that in so wrong. I'm embarrassed. Anyway, so that is the last ring I'm going to show you today. Let me get back to, can I move this? Yay. And we're good. God, 59 minutes and 26 seconds. Yes. It's good to have a stopwatch handy. So thanks for joining us today. Next week we will continue with more rings. In the meantime, take care of yourself, take care of the planet, take care of your mental health. Keep making stuff. Don't let pandemic fatigue put a block on your creativity. And if you do have that block on your creativity, what I found always works for me, and I know I say this every time, but it's so true, if you just start making something that you've already made before, that's very easy for you to do, that you can do it almost mindlessly, what happens is your brain synapses start firing, and they start joining, and your brain begins to remember, oh, your hands are doing this, oh, right. And then once that starts happening, new pathways start to open up, and you start to look for new interesting things to do, and that's how the creative juices start flowing. Don't always feel like you've got to be expanding your artistic endeavors, right? Expansion is great, and reaching out for new concepts is an awesome plan, is awesome to do, is really fun to do, but sometimes when you're just stuck in a rut and you just can't make that happen, sometimes just by starting at the beginning and doing simple things, maybe something you've done before, you just do it a little bit differently, and something about the way that you've done it gives you an idea for something else that you can do, and then you can start adding that on, and the next thing you know, you're in totally creative waters. So or not. Maybe you're just stuck. But don't be. I will see you next week. We'll be here next Wednesday, 10:30 Pacific, extrapolated out to wherever your time zone is. I don't want to do the math. And we'll continue with more rings. So thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week. All right, let me finish.